All right, everyone. Hello, and welcome. We're doing it live without an opening sequence. We're going right into it. What the heck? Screw the opening. Jump right in. Welcome to the Babylon 5 Retrospective. This week, we're talking about episode 4 from season 2, A Distant Star. But before we get into that, I've got to bring in my co-host. He is the Maynard to my Sheridan. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Yes, good evening. Do we have any administrative things to talk about before we bring in our panelist and our guest panelists?
No, I think we can.
Did you want to? Do you have that link? Do you want to put that link up there?
Yeah, I put it in our chat, but maybe I didn't. It didn't show up.
You put it in the private chat. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. I will link it here. What we're talking about is their Amazon Prime Days is going on right now. So it just so happens a friend of mine and sometime listener of the show sent me a link to it, and you can get the complete series Blu-ray for what is it, $53?
Ooh, that's pretty good.
$52.49.
That's the one I have.
Okay.
I think so. I'll just let you know, guys, that if you get this one, like it's cut down, like the DVDs have a bunch of extras, like it has the some of the lead-ins and interviews and stuff like that. This thing is like pack in 5 or 6 episodes per DVD. That's it. That's what they do. They don't bother to.
Does it look good though? Is the
quality? It looks great. Yeah, okay. It looks great. Like I got no complaints. I actually, like I said, I first watched the episode on DVD, and then I got the Blu-ray. And it's hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure that it looks better on Blu-ray. Like it's sharper, the stuff. I feel that way. I can't.
You would hope.
Yeah. And just StreamYards. So StreamYards, I've got the free version of StreamYards here, and they allow you to have a video and all that stuff for free. But now it's not working. It's like, oh, you gotta upgrade before you even use it. So like, they're basically what they're doing is they're taking away features for us cheap bastards. So
all right, everybody.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to do something about that. But
anyway. We got to start e-begging.
E-begging, yeah. All right. Anyway. That's good. Let's bring in our panelists for today. We've got, of course, our regular panelist, Death Angel Shadow, and our guest panelist for today, Outpost Nerd. Welcome, gentlemen, Outpost Nerd. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, yeah, welcome. Jellicoe did nothing wrong. Let's not rehash that if we can afford it.
What?
If we can,
oh my gosh,
do that. And of course, Jeff is here. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm here.
Right all right.
I'm here. I got a whole page of notes, nothing more.
Awesome.
I had 3 by the time I was done.
You're allowed to take as much notes as you want.
I know. Sorry.
And hopefully I have worked on my connection issues a little bit. Hopefully we'll have, we've been having pretty good connection overall, but I think hopefully we're going to have a little bit better connection from now on. That I've made a little bit of upgrades and done a little bit of this and that. So, it should work. Things should work out. Hopefully, better quality of a show. Yeah.
And as everyone can see, Jason is not here tonight because he is suffering from Superman fever.
No, that's not true, Cam. What actually happened is that Jason said he hates all of you.
Oh.
And that you stink and that he doesn't want you to watch his show and he only wants you to watch this show from now on because Sci-Fi Snob is the best. And
I took my weekly shower.
That's what he said. I'm pretty sure I can. Let me just check my DMs. Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what. Okay, well that might not be true. So I think he saw. Cam's right. I think he saw
Superman
last night. I think he saw like a midnight. Probably. Right?
Yeah, he gave it a pretty decent rating too.
And he did a rating, and I think I put it out on Twitter, and of course you can go to his channel and
7 to 8 I think is what he said. So he says it's worth it.
Yeah, so he said he's running on fumes, he's exhausted, he barely slept, and so
get the popcorn bucket though. That's what I want to know.
He bowed out for tonight, but that's fine, no problem.
What kind of popcorn bucket do they have for Superman?
There's a couple of them. One of them looks like the old newspaper boxes.
Oh, That's cool.
That one I want. And then there's another one that's called like Heat Vision or something like that, which
that is cool.
looks like a popcorn machine with Superman,
That's cool.
doing his heat ray vision onto the side of it.
I got the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man for Frozen when Frozen Empire came out. I splurged a little bit and I got the Ghostbuster symbol little pillow. I'm like, this is first time went to the theater in years was to see the second new Ghostbusters movie, and I loved it.
Look at Weatherman trying to give him excuses.
No, that's fine. We can't.
It's good.
Maybe. Yeah. All right. And he had to go break down from some band or something. I think he had to go do a breakdown. So.
All right, let's go right into it. Let's get the trivia answers for last week's trivia. And then we'll jump right into the show. No fooling around. Let's go big.
Fooling.
All right, let's bring it in here. Let's hopefully this works. No.
Nothing works.
Wow.
Oh, wait a sec. I know what I did wrong. There we go. That's the problem.
And everyone's mic will cut out every 3 minutes for 30 seconds.
Let's hope not.
There we go. Hey, look.
All right. So about last week's questions. What is the name of the Centauri noble who wants Londo to join in his conspiracy? That is, of course, Rifa, Lord Rifa.
Lord Rifa, yep.
Lord Rifa,
What is Sheridan drinking while discussing the Drazi situation with Ivanova? Orange juice. Everyone was
yes.
Orange juice from Florida, yeah. When Veer meets Londo in the bar, what race is Londo supposed to be meeting with? This is a pretty obscure one. The Abai. They just mentioned one thing. I don't think we've ever seen them before. Maybe. How many techno wizards did the first Centauri meet with? The first Centauri Emperor should be meet with, and that was of course 3.
Yeah.
Yep, 3. Okay.
And how long is a Drazi cycle in Earth time?
1.2 years. Not 6 days.
Not 7 or something days.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. All right. Okay, that's it.
And we're done. No. Good night, everybody.
Is it Q2 Madman? Are you did 6 videos exhaust when I'm here, sci-fi stuff. Hey,
we appreciate that, Madman.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for being here.
I'm not trying to. I won't defend Jason. There you go.
We know who our friends are now.
That's
right. The real fans.
Shall we jump right into it? Cam, do you want to give your? Did I miss anything, guys, before we get started?
No.
Cam, you want to give the executive summary?
Sure. We've got episode 26 or episode 4 of season 2, A Distant Star, written by DC Fontana of Star Trek Original Series fame. Air date was November 23rd, 1994, and production date is 204, so right in line with its air date or air order. Production order, not production date. Sheridan launches a dangerous operation to rescue an Earth exploration ship captured captained by his friend when it is stranded in hyperspace. Delen's authority within the Minbari is questioned as a result of her transformation. There we go.
All right. Okay, so the more detailed, I'll just quickly break down the episode, kind of what happens real quick. There's kind of 4 things going on, but it's questionable.
They're all twisted so tight, though. I mean, there's not a definitive A/B.
Yeah,
maybe. Well, we can discuss that. Okay, so the main thing is, of course, that the Cortez shows up, which is a survey, long-range exploration ship.
Yes,
and it becomes lost in hyperspace during the episode. That's the big thing. So, but to start off with, the Cortez comes in. They need to get some resupplies. Captain Maynard is the captain of the ship, and he is an old-time friend of Sheridan. Later, we actually find out he's kind of a mentor. He was a little bit ahead of him or something.
His first commanding officer.
Right.
Yeah. Maynard, he seems to, at the beginning, he's sort of questioning Sheridan and suggesting, hey, is this, is this really what you want to do? Shouldn't you be out there exploring the frontier instead of sitting at this desk, this sort of thing, which is kind of weird, but that's what he's kind of, they're getting information back and forth in each other, and he kind of suggests this. There's also a little bit of a, Sheridan seems to be get a little, pissy about this. He's talking to Garibaldi at one time, and they're kind of working on how they're working together because Garibaldi's got to get used to this new guy. But Sheridan's kind of annoyed with him and, throws him off. Hey, you just deal with this problem, some problem that Garibaldi's talking about. And Sheridan's like, yeah, just take care of it.
Petty larceny it was. Yeah, just some
petty larceny. Yeah.
Yeah, some kids stealing.
There's some discussion about Maynard. Some of the crew on Babylon 5, the main characters, are asking him, is there something living in hyperspace? And Maynard doesn't say there is, but he says you see some weird stuff out on the rim. He kind of downplays it a little bit. Yeah. Then he becomes lost. They take off and they get lost. There's some sort of explosion on the ship or damage, and they get lost in hyperspace. He sends a message. Sheridan and Babylon 5 are able to get the message, and they come up with a plan to a way to get the Cortez out of hyperspace.
We'll go into detail on that later.
And they execute the plan with I think it's 5 fighters. The squadron commander, who we haven't met before, is killed.
Yeah,
which gets Warren Keffer to get a promotion. Right on. There's also within this this is sort of, I'm kind of mixing the two here up. This is with the Cortez getting lost in hyperspace. There's also this sort of thing going on with Sheridan questioning his position because of what Maynard has said. Yeah. Ivanova gets a little bit, she kind of confronts him and says, hey, what's up? You seem to be, you're not yourself. He gets a little snippy with Ivanova back and forth. There's a little bit of that. We'll discuss that as well. Yeah. And at the end of the Keffer is actually lost. He doesn't come back immediately. And this is kind of a key point, I think, for the future of the show, where it's going. He sees some sort of ship in hyperspace when he's running out of fuel, or when he's running out of oxygen. He's only got 30 minutes left. And we know that ship looks very similar to a shadow ship that we've seen before. And the Cortez, of course, makes it out, and Keffer makes it out as well. So that's kind of, that's a little bit of a hint for later on. So I mentioned, running through this thread is, of course, the Sheridan questioning his position and all that. So that again. On the other sort of two little threads, there's a little bit of a thread with Delin talking with other Minbari. They kind of hint that, hey, you're not of our race anymore. I'm pretty sure this is a setup for the future. We don't really see much more of this with what's going on.
Breadcrumbs.
I'm pretty sure that's a little, breadcrumb or thread that they're going to try to wave in later. And lastly, this thread, I don't know, I would call it a plot even, but it's kind of a thread too. It's the doctor played for a bit of humor, his diet for all the senior officers.
It's one of the funniest little plot lines, I think, in the whole show.
Yeah, he's got, he basically puts Garibaldi, Sheridan, and Ivanova on diets.
Food plans.
Food plans, not diets.
Food plans. And all for different reasons. Sheridan, because he's too fat. Garibaldi, because I guess he eats the wrong stuff, too much salt. And
he needs more iron and stuff.
Yeah. And Ivanova, because she's too skinny.
Yep.
She needs to put on some weight. So there's a little bit of
basically they're each eating what the other one wants.
Yeah. There's a scene where they put all the, they're switching their plates around because they want to get what they want. But
right.
So that is the pretty much the whole structure of the episode and what happens. Did I miss anything, Cam? Anything important to?
No, I think you got the highlights.
The highs and lows. We're discussing in detail.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Cam. What should we talk about first?
Well, let's talk about the Cortez storyline, because it's kind of the thing that runs. Runs through the whole thing.
I think that ship is as big as as Babylon 5.
Yeah, it makes it
Actually,
look like it.
I looked it up. The Cortez is 6 kilometers long. Babylon 5 is 8, so it is nearly as big.
It's very close. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And to me, the Cortez, I don't know if y'all have ever seen that old show called I can't remember, Spaceship Earth, where like they had the Eagle. It reminds me of old sci-fi ships with the scaffolding and the like little pods.
Yeah.
So it's not too far out from these old 80s shows. So we see kind of the art style still hanging in there from the 80s.
Kind of reminiscent of, like the ship in the black hole and stuff like
Yes.
that with that
Yes.
scaffolding style. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sheridan makes the point. He's, to the people on the CNC, he's like, take a look. You probably only see 1 or 2 of these in your whole career.
In your career.
2 if you're lucky, yeah. So that tells me, with that line, that tells me that while exploring and discovery is important for the Earth Force, it's probably not a priority.
Yeah.
Because it's still, how much do you think that the ship probably cost to make?
Right.
So, because unlike other sci-fi shows, which will not be, I'll try not to mention too much this week, it's still a money-based society we're talking about here.
Right.
And it's I think you're right. So I'm glad they are mentioning this exploration and that there is kind of a limit, the rim or whatever, where they don't really know what's beyond it. But in general, it seems like the world, well, not the world, the galaxy or whatever is more empty than, let's say, Star Trek.
Yes.
They just finished mapping out Sector 900. So that was actually stated. Sector 900, they just finished. And they apparently got recalled back to do something, apparently.
To repair a jump gate.
Yeah. So
and take on supplies.
Yeah, and they also mentioned that part of their mission is to be building jump gates, out in these different
expanding
places.
the reach.
Yeah.
Into the unknown.
Because in that first scene, that's actually what they're doing when they're panning before they put the shot on the bridge of the Cortez. They're building a jump gate, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting one together before they have to go to Babylon 5.
Yeah,
and of course they don't need a jump gate. It's the smaller ships that need the jump gates.
Well, I'm not sure that's a little
Isn't
iffy
it?
with Earth Earth Force ships. Some of them do, and it's not. I don't think it's very. Actually, I'll look that up.
It is
jump capable. It is jump capable.
Yeah.
It might be. It is a little strange, and I'm sure Michael in the chat, Michael
he's going to correct
us. This stuff, but it might be that it's the gates are more reliable or safer or something, and it's preferred, even though the capital ships can make their own gates. It might just be better to do it with.
I have a feeling it's because it's a fixed point.
Yeah.
That, as opposed to a moving target.
And we're also seeing here that they need navigation buoys, which that's the other part of this is
clearly,
because the ship gets
they
lost.
point out hyperspace flows.
Right. It's almost like an ocean. It's right. I think of it as an ocean that you can get they said you can get swept into the currents and be lost.
Right.
It's basically like an ocean under our normal space.
Which is another point that was brought up, that no other ship lost in hyperspace has ever been successfully rescued.
Yes. Right. Yes.
So
it's a little strange that well, I guess it's not. They mentioned that they had that the Cortez had other like scout ships or something on it, smaller vessels, shuttles or whatever.
Right.
And I don't understand that much about.
That's a good point.
Is when their thing went bad, could they have launched their own ship to be a buoy, to a point that they could communicate with, kind of like they ended up doing with the
fire. But I think I think with that idea, the ships didn't have they would be guessing at which direction to go, where the ships, the Star Furies from Babylon 5, they had that fixed point still locked onto the jump point.
Because they put a Star Fury right inside of the gate in hyperspace, and then
it was like
they did what they call the lifeboat maneuver.
Yeah,
is what it was. Which when it's very foggy or whatever, they would kind of stay where they would stretch themselves out so that every so often in the distance there was a lifeboat that could keep in communication with another one.
Was that a
Same
real? I was
principle.
thinking, was that actually a real thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, okay. See, that's what I love about the writing of this show. They actually take stuff that, and then they're what's that 200, 300 years in the future, and they're still taking ideas that we have today or even 100 years ago, and still kind of applying them to situations in space, like
Right.
the chain.
Well, I mean, it's not too distant, not too different when you think about it from what we were doing 100 and something years ago on the ocean or more.
Yeah.
They're doing in space.
Q2Cast mentions that they had already drifted off the beacon, so that's why they couldn't.
Yeah, that was my point. They didn't have that point that they could rely on. They could have also been taken far enough away from the Cortez, they would be lost as well. So I think they did the right choice of not sending out the Cortez ships, because that ship had
then they would have gotten lost too.
They mentioned they had ships because Maynard mentions about going out with his second in command earlier in the episode. So they would have to have ships for a ship that size.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think I do like you said, it's a great homage to history and what has happened in the past, and learning from things that have worked.
Yeah, and I like when shows put effort into explaining that, and in this case, they are using something like you say that's known to us. It's analogous to it, of course. But yeah, I like that little bit of world building, and I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting, about that or through supplemental material.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that once again Sheridan saves the day with this idea, something that no one's ever done. Finding somebody, and it's his idea.
Yeah, well, I mean,
similar to the first episode.
So he's the first of a couple of things now, right? He's the first one
innovator.
to ever destroy a Minbari heavy cruiser.
Yep.
And the first to ever successfully rescue a ship from hyperspace. So now he's got two firsts.
And I think I wasn't here for the episode about season 2, episode 1. Galaxy Quest paid a little homage to Sheridan, I believe, and how in Galaxy Quest they attracted the mines and destroyed the enemy ship. How Sheridan used the meteors, the asteroids, to destroy the Minbari ship. So I think that's a good little homage, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
It might be
so he's definitely, they're building him up as an innovator for sure. And and the funny thing is I think the one thing that didn't quite come off right for me was his. I mean, I get that he's doubting himself, but it was a little.
Okay, you want to shift over to that topic?
I'd like to talk about that one. That's
okay.
I think that's
I'd like to also.
So well, you guys mentioned or you were starting to talk about it, DS there. It came up when he was talking to Garibaldi, and it seemed like it came out of the blue, right?
Right.
Him snapping at him.
Well, I don't think so, because when he's having the discussion with Maynard in his quarters, and Maynard mentions, "Hey, this isn't what you trade for. I'm surprised you took the job." You could really see it hit Sheridan pretty hard.
He was being goaded a little bit.
Yes. I'm saying it came up in this episode. We really didn't see it.
Yeah.
Before
Okay.
This,
I don't think he was very fair to Garibaldi.
No, I agree that it seemed weird, because Sheridan, again, what we've seen from him is like, he's pretty good with people, and then suddenly he's like, you don't bother me with your crap.
Snapping at Garibaldi, snapping at Ivanova.
Yeah, and I mean, and usually, if I'm not mistaken, I would think this is something that Sheridan would want to be updated about, like the goings on, the criminal aspect from your chiefs of security.
Right. And Garibaldi even said, he's like, I thought you wanted to know about this stuff,
Right.
So yeah, he was out of line for that.
And Garibaldi's just back now for what, one episode?
Yeah.
And in fact, to that end, I watched a little. On the first DVD for the season, there's a little thing about this season, and one of the things that they're interviewing some of the different cast members. Susan talks about having broken her foot, which she's still hobbling around, by the way, in this episode.
Yes. Yep.
And that's for real. She really did break her foot. Garibaldi said his favorite episode of the entire show was episode 1 of season 2, because he was in a coma the whole show. He didn't have to work.
He got paid
and he got paid the regular rate.
So, if I remember the bloopers, he actually falls asleep and snores, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've seen the bloopers. They have great bloopers for these seasons. They are awesome. They're on YouTube. I highly suggest looking them up. They are freaking hilarious.
But at any rate, but back to the main point. The way that he snapped at Garibaldi and Susan, and just kind of, it's like he turned on a dime a little too much. And I get him second guessing himself, but I think it was just a little overdone.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
And I think that Maynard is pushing a little bit hard, a little too hard as well. I mean,
right.
Look, Sheridan's got.
Ribbing is one thing.
The most important position in
Earth Force,
in Earth Force,
or in the entire galaxy,
rank, of his rank. I mean, it's important to be on a survey ship, but the amount of people that Maynard has to deal with on his survey ship is minuscule compared to the staff
and all the races and
350. Yeah, there's 350 people crew on Explorer class.
Sheridan's got he is going, he's going to become an admiral at this. If he does this job right. This is a plum position. He's got, so much, some freedom to operate, and he's dealing with so much higher levels. He's on his way to a higher rank for sure.
It's almost
this kind of posting.
To me, it's like the difference between the captain of an aircraft carrier and the person that's immediately responsible for a major port base.
That is exactly how he describes it. When he's having that conversation with Susan, he says, "I was trained to be a captain of a ship. And this is almost like a governor of a colony, almost." He said,
but
something like that.
But that's not. It's more like
it's more than that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than a port. It's a port.
Because
he's got all this diplomatic people. Yeah. It's all this. It's like much more important.
Like a military base / United Nations, which is It's how that's how Straczynski came up with the idea, the United Nations in space. He said, "I was taking a shower one day, and this thought came to me."
So I don't think they're meaning to do this, but I almost felt like Maynard was trying to sabotage him in a way, and I don't think that's what they're going for. I think they're just overplaying it. But it just seems like, why would you say like this is the plummet? That he's gonna go. He's gonna. His career is
he's gonna jump you. Because of this,
because of this posting. So why would you be telling him that? Right?
I think Maynard, it was that best friend jabbing. We see it, and I think at times he went too far.
He overplayed.
It didn't seem. It seemed more serious than just joking, though. I think that's the writers not understanding.
Ribbing versus
Well, no, how Sheridan has the best position for a captain in all of Earth Force, likely.
Right.
The performance for Maynard wasn't the greatest either.
Well, I didn't mind his performance. I want to talk about that, but I didn't mind his performance on Babylon 5. But I got other
when he was on the ship on the ship. Cortez, it was horrible.
It was a little
You guys noticed that too.
Yeah, it was like it's the second. This is clearly second unit, right?
Especially we're going to that. Especially the first time wasn't great, but like the last time where they're talking about trying to get out of hyperspace,
blew up.
Like that was really bad. Like when they're trying to, we'll just send it. What should we do? Like I'm like, wow, these guys don't like. That was really bad.
Kay
Yeah.
Roberts has a good point in chat. They say B5 is politically important to EarthGov, but to the military subculture, it's double duty doing the diplomatic corps' job.
Sure.
Because
Yeah,
he says it.
Well-
He's like, I'm playing ambassador. I'm babysitting these ambassadors.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the
and
thing
we-
is that but what the military would still understand, like people would all say, yeah, oh yeah, it's military, it's not pure, but Sheridan is going to get promoted over all those other guys because who decides who gets to be an admiral? It's the politicians, and they're going to like Sheridan. He did a good job there. They're going to understand him. Politicians consider politics much more important than military stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get promoted way before the rest of his buddies.
Yeah, it's also a little bit of that same thing we saw through season 1, where it's like exactly what's the setup here, and who has what power and everything. It's a little better this season, but that still kind of lingers in the background of the whole setting.
Well, yeah, when Sinclair deals with the dock worker strike the way he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that politician calls him and says, "You haven't made any friends today, Commander."
Yeah,
and
I agree with Kay Roberts here. I mean, the military guys are going to complain about it, and it is reasonable for Sheridan to sort of go, "Oh man, I wish I didn't have to deal with these BS diplomats all the time," and for him to complain about it. But then he still would recognize
to do that.
He would still recognize that this is a plum job, and I'm going to get promoted out of it.
Didn't Susan, when they're in this, I keep going back to see episode 1. Didn't Susan even say, "I'm surprised we didn't get an ambassador or a politician
or an admiral or something"? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're still seeing Sheridan trying to find his place, trying to find his comfort level.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to say, but I think it was overdone. It's overdone in how he deals with Garibaldi. It's overdone. He's overly annoyed at Ivanova when she calls him out.
Yeah, I agree.
And I thought she was. I mean, I find it interesting.
That's kind of her job is to call him out.
Well, not really. I mean,
no, but
it's to check him somewhat.
It's the unwritten rule is that
but
your right hand person is the one that's supposed to.
Usually, you're a little more polite about it, right? Like she calls him straight out.
Yeah, he tells her, "Why don't you get arrested?" And she's like, "Why don't you?"
Yeah.
Then she realizes her mistake, sir.
In front of everybody in the
CNC.
CNC.
The command staff. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to surprise everyone and say that I think Ivanova was actually written and performed fairly well in this episode because she's
great actress. Yeah,
she does have she does kind of snap at him a few times, but she also says things like, respectfully or whatever. So, she is qualifying it, but she's also being her blunt self.
Well, my grandfather
that was my point. I was going to mention that, Cam. I think I don't see that her acting is bad. It's a little bit unusual, but maybe we're honestly seeing something about Ivanova's character that she's starting to feel a little more confident in her job, and she's willing to call out. She's a commander now. She's willing to call out the captain if he's, screwing things up and he's getting out of line a little bit.
Well, she's the buffer.
She didn't really do that with Sinclair so much, right? She was a little less.
Well, Sinclair,
she's timid. She didn't know him
she's
as well.
feeling her oats a bit. She
was still a lieutenant commander. So I think maybe with her promotion from Sheridan to commander, she's kind of gotten that little confidence boost that she needed.
Yeah. But remember, Sinclair was also a one step lower too. So
but that's good. She should be developing, right? She is getting more experience.
She should.
This is good.
She's now the rank of her previous boss.
Yeah. Right. So. My grandfather had a saying. He would say, he's like, "I'm not going to sugarcoat shit and tell you it's cake." That was his way of saying, "I'm not going to be nice. If you mess up, I'm going to be honest with you." And I'm seeing Susan kind of take I'm going to be honest with you, whether it hurts your feelings or not. This needs to be said.
Yeah, and but there's a difference between honest and blunt, right? Like you can be honest with your boss without telling him, "Hey, you're a piece of shit," right?
And
you can be.
And she and I think she almost fell into that insubordination almost when she's like, "Why don't you go get some sleep?" And then she caught herself and said, "Sir," because you could see Sheridan snaps his head around and looks at her, and she's like, "Oh, I shoot."
So I agree, and I'm saying that's well done by the
very well
the
done.
writing and the acting and the directing and all that. That's well done. The nuance is there.
She did good in this episode. Yeah, I think it's just the Maynard was a little over the top, and Sheridan's.
Sheridan was
he plays a cordial, nice guy really well, but his aggravated stance is a little shaky.
He seemed a little bit.
He's not as comfortable being the aggravated guy.
It seemed a little bit out of character the way he was so aggravated.
Like he went up and down. Yeah. He went up really up and down, and kind of his emotions very much in this episode. I think.
Yeah.
And I get what they were trying to portray. I mean,
one of his best friends is
giving him crap because his mentor is, giving him crap
about to die. Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus the diet, he's probably hungry as hell.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that could make him hangry. Yeah. It
would make a good Snickers commercial.
Yeah.
Cam.
Yes.
You want to jump in there?
About what?
About what we're talking about. No, you said your piece.
Yeah. Yes, I have. Should we go on to the next thing?
Sector 900. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to, but it was a little bit, Michael. Yeah, they're supposed to be unified, but they were. Remember, there was that. She did snap at him in the CNC and say, "Why don't you go?" And I mean, it was behind closed doors for most of it.
Yeah.
But there was a little bit that was done in front of people.
Well, there is a pattern of saying inappropriate things in CNC and just pretending like it's fine. It's like, oh, hey, we gave you this huge secret about the entire Minbari culture. Let's discuss it in the CNC in front of everybody.
Audience.
This
happened several times, right?
This was the purpose of the ready room or the captain's office.
Yes.
Star Trek. They were able to go, and we don't have that right now in he's
got his office. I'm assuming
he's got his office.
But they're not utilizing it that way very much.
Well, can we just briefly talk? The CNC is kind of it's not a great thing. It doesn't seem like a very efficient command center. It like Ivanova's workstation is literally, she's kind of the day-to-day commander of the CNC, right?
She's like the air traffic controller almost.
She's the senior person. There'll be other people as well, but she's the senior one who controls them and also probably takes a shift as well.
Right. And I could see her having a station where she is giving commands from and everything, but it's like, she should have a ready room, or at least a place to kind of, be doing her quiet work or something. And they don't. It's just not a good setup,
or at least a computer screen. Because what is she's looking out hundreds, probably thousands of kilometers away or hundreds. She's looking out a window.
Yeah, right.
She doesn't have a screen, and that's always bothered me.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
They probably couldn't afford to put a screen in there. So.
Yeah, and I mean, Sheridan has an office there. We see that several times, but I have no idea where it is. It's like I don't know where I guess I know where
in relation to the CNC.
Yeah, it's like
if you
it's like camera window, right or camera left.
If you look out the window, it looks like it's on the inner circle, because on the inside of Babylon 5 is all where you have all that garden space and all the buildings.
Well, it has to be on far away from the axis, or they wouldn't have gravity, right? But you're right; it looks like it's more towards the middle.
Yeah,
and you'd assume it would be somewhat closer to the CNC. Like
it's got to be near
right
the CNC
there. That's where his main stuff happens.
How do they have gravity on the CNC?
Well, like I said, it has to
be
spinning.
It's still spinning.
Don't ask questions.
Is it?
Yeah. It has to be, because they don't have artificial gravity.
Yeah, no. The Minbari have not given them artificial gravity yet.
The Minbari have it?
Okay. Yeah, Minbari have it, but Minbari are very selfish when it comes to technology.
Yeah. The Narn would sell it to them. And
so with the Centauri. Well, the Centauri.
The Centauri.
The Centauri sold them weapons in the war against the Minbari.
They also sold us jump technology.
Yes, I think I was going to say that, but I was not sure.
Yeah. They did.
That's how we got it. They introduced us to it. Of course, they can make money off of it. You know, the Star always out for money.
Well, remember too that they had us believing we were cousins.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're our 13th
You're the 13th
cousin,
pride.
twice removed.
And I love that line. It's like, oh, we were. Londo says to Garibaldi, we were wrong. Open my wrist, and he's like, Centauri don't have arteries in their wrist. He's like, of course we don't. What do you think? I'm crazy?
Yeah.
I love Londo is. I don't know if y'all know the Centauri fin hair was a joke.
Yeah, I heard that.
The actor who played Londo, Straczynski, was in his office working up on the script, and he comes in jokingly with this huge fin, and he's like, "Is this work?" He's like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine. Get out." So they kept it.
Well, and then there was an episode where he was getting his hair cut and styled that way.
Yes. So.
So okay, I think we've. Do you want to? Well, we didn't really touch on.
Do you want to wrap up
anything more about with Maynard's acting?
Well, we might as well wrap up that whole storyline with how they get out. But
sure.
What you're referring to is when they, initially have their malfunction, excuse me, or whatever it was,
right after they took off.
Yeah, it was
pretty much as they entered the gate. All hell broke loose.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would have done something with like, oh, it was sabotage. They found out at the end or something, and kind of did a hook on that. It just kind of was like, oh yeah, this grand explorer just kind of blows up, and it's like, they're gonna die. It's like maybe
Maynard
a backup
was too busy drinking with the shared ship.
Yeah, that's true. He was crying about his XO calling him back to the ship. So
yeah.
One thing I want to mention that I really liked, it did go too far sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, but I really liked the friendship dynamic between Sheridan and Maynard, because it really reminded me of my friend, like the inner jokes they had when they were out having drinks. Like I have jokes that I could. To you guys, these are just random words, but to my best friend, these would make him cringe.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have an inner joke. If I say zebra to him or he says it to me, we just like, oh, it's an inner joke that we have. And we saw that with Maynard and Sheridan, like the embarrassing story. And I really, really like that dynamic. We did see it later kind of go too far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I have that with a buddy of mine too that I used to work with at Universal. All I got to do is say sweeps. And he didn't know what sweeps were, like when television shows were in sweeps. He's younger than me, right? He was like a protege of mine. Kind of like, in this situation. And and I said, well, for sweeps. And he's like, sweeps. And it just became a thing. So, but anyway.
So the acting of Maynard.
It was kind of up and down.
Yeah. We had a lot of up and downs in quality, I think, in this episode.
I agree. But on the, when the ship malfunction happened, it was like, junior high theater group kind of stuff.
I'm so glad Cam.
I thought this stuff after that was worse. When they're trying to get to the, they're being saved and they're trying to
everything on the ship was bad.
Cam, I'm so glad you mentioned that. When the scene where the Star Fury actually comes through and Maynard walks over to his communications officer, he's just tapping in midair. You could tell it's a little off screen, but his hands look like they're tapping in midair. He's not touching any panels, and it took me right out of the scene. That bad acting took me right out of the scene.
It was.
I thought that was pretty minor. It's Maynard's delivering his lines is just like, it was unbelievable.
I'm a trained actor. I have acted in a few things, and I've learned one thing. My professor said, if you're going to do something, do it
all the way.
Do it all the way.
Yep.
Like
him talking to
with emphasis. You meant to do that.
And I'm sorry to mention Star Trek again. There's an episode DS9 where they're in a restaurant and they're panning across the restaurant, and in the foreshot, you have a guy sitting there with a coffee mug. He is stiff as a robot. and a female officer sits down with him, and he picks it up and just puts it to his lip for 2 seconds and puts it down, just boom, boom, like a robot. And it's that robotic acting that I saw in that scene, and with the Cortez communications officer, takes me right out of the action.
The Asian female actress. Is that the one?
No, not the one.
The other.
The one he's like,
she's the navigator.
Right?
She's the navigator. The I think either he was the communications officer or the XO. He was in the white shirt.
Yeah, that was the XO.
Yeah, it took me right out of the scene, and I hate it when bad background acting just takes your eyes off.
I thought Maynard and the Asian female, who I think was the navigator, I thought some of that was worse. Just some of the comments he made to her, and she, mainly him, but it was just pretty bad. But anyway,
yeah. So
I wonder if they shot that before. I mean,
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe all the on ship scenes were shot first, and then because they were using that set, and then they had to do all the rest of the majority of the rest of the show. Either on
he was a nav officer. His name was Lieutenant Patrick. I got my notes.
I did catch a date in one of the things. There was a date of July 12th, 2253. So I think that's the date that the Cortez showed up or something like that.
2253.
That's
was that maybe when it was commissioned?
I don't know. I just remember.
Well, I think this episode takes place in 2267.
2253. That was maybe that's when he served.
This is 2259.
Yeah,
this whole season is 59.
But there was July 12th, 2253.
Yeah, that's a reference to something that happened with Sheridan and
when they served on
and Maynard. Some sort of shenanigans they got involved with.
Yeah,
they did the patrol between the moon and Mars.
Right. They used to run. They used to run that route.
Yeah, run that patrol. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. Something
that's just that doesn't necessarily refer to that something happened on that route at that time. It just refers to it's a date that they shared something.
Right.
Something.
Yeah, I don't know why I wrote it down. There was a reason I wrote it down. But at any rate, I know that they did talk about something living in hyperspace, which we kind of touched on a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Maynard's got a story about that, right?
Yeah, Maynard talked about it. He saw that they saw something. I think it was his nav officer, right? That saw, a blink.
Yeah, they were in the scout ship at that point.
Yeah, they saw.
Maynard actually saw it. The nav officer didn't, and all he said he saw was a blink on the equipment.
Yeah, and it blotted out the stars. Which
I was
gonna say that kind of correlates with the stuff Jakar has been reading about.
I was going to mention that this is the first time we're seeing two completely separate groups, entities, mentioning rumors about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So humans now are seeing something that the Narn saw 1,000 years ago. And I think it was that, right? 1,000? Everything's
I think something like that. 1,000. I think so.
Because blotted out the stars, that kind of stuck out to me as like that's kind of the way that it was described in
the Book of Jaquan.
Book of Jaquan, right? So
and then of course we see the ship that comes in and I believe inadvertently takes out the squadron commander. It just kind of pops through him, and it didn't fire at him, right? It just hit him.
No, I think it just.
Sorry.
Yeah. No,
I don't think it shot at him, Cam. I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think it ever fired a shot. And the only shots that we ever really saw fired was from what was his name? Keffer.
Yeah.
Just when he's kind of spinning, every time he's in that position,
he's showing them the way home.
Yeah, let's firing in the direction.
It's like, oh, he's pointing the way home.
Yeah.
Was that to any of y'all? Was that kind of a leap on Maynard's part to anyone else?
No, it seemed obvious to me.
Yeah, it was like overtly obvious, I think.
Like, I mean, why else would he be shooting in that direction? I didn't feel it was too over the top. Yeah.
No, but
If
it's like
I'd be like, okay, he's shooting. He keeps shooting in the same direction. There's something there that he's shooting at. I don't see anything there. There's nothing there. Or he's
That
trying to
makes sense.
indicate there's something there that we should look at. Oh, maybe that's the way to go home.
because his comms were out.
And-
right and
Yeah.
Well, no, did he did communicate with him, didn't he? Didn't
Or
Keffer?
was he
Because he said
fading out?
he's like, I can't dock with you. His nav or his maneuver was out.
right.
So I think he told him, didn't he? Didn't he say, yeah, just go?
Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
I think
but
too
but
at
then
that
he's
point,
sitting there pointing, and they had to figure it out.
at the time he's shooting, I think by that point his communication was out, and he only had 30 minutes. He was basically
30 minutes
running
of
on
oxygen,
fumes. He was
yeah.
running
Right.
on fumes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But he
the,
did still manage to get back.
The Cortez does leave, right? It
Yeah.
it
Yes.
goes, and so he's stuck out there.
And
And
he
then
was kind of smart the way he
Oh, extremely smart how he figured out how to get back.
following the shadow ship. Which,
well, yeah, his ship self-repaired apparently, the repair
Right.
systems or whatever worked, so he got his maneuvering ability back.
thrusters back, yeah.
And then, like you said, the shadow ship shows up, and it's like, well, I guess I'll follow them, right? They seem to be going somewhere. I'll see what I can do.
I'll go that direction too.
Right.
So
And
yeah, that's the question, right?
Right. How did it get him back to where he's supposed to be? That's the
well,
big
okay,
question.
that's the question. What
No, the
was
question is, did they do that on purpose?
that? Yes. Is that ship just hanging around out there? Kind of in
What did they just come?
hyperspace?
Did they not see him there?
From what I'm
did
reading,
they try to get Keffer? Did they save Keffer for some reason?
from what I'm reading, it says on the Wikipedia, it says he managed to get his ship back under control, and he was able. So he repaired it. He was able to repair it,
Yeah.
but I think he wanted the Cortez to leave because a ship so much bigger was probably getting pushed so much harder by that hyperspace wake.
Well, yeah, he couldn't do anything, and he at that point they knew where to go.
Save
So
yourself.
it was their only chance, really.
And that actually is part of the lifeboat story too, by the way.
Mhm.
That really did stuff like that really did happen, where the rescuers helped save a ship that was stuck and
Yeah,
got them
so-
back, but the rescuers died.
Yeah. So on Babylon 5, they think that they lost 2 ships. The squadron
Right,
commander
and I even wrote that down. that 2 ships
Yeah,
are
and-
lost. One was destroyed. Right, that was destroyed by the
Shadow,
by the shadow ship, and it was destroyed just by, I think it was just sideswiped it or whatever, like it was nothing. And
Later, Weatherman. Thanks for coming out.
yeah, take care.
Good night, Weatherman.
But then of course, being able to follow the trajectory of that ship, I guess, because is there hyperspace lanes that they're trying to follow? Maybe.
Well, apparently he followed it to the point where he picked up a beacon, right? Which
Right.
would be the
That
jump
makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Well, even
mean-
in the ocean, you have like
Buoys.
almost roads and lanes.
Yeah, buoys. Yeah.
So I could see that having hyperspace currents.
Yeah,
that
there,
are
yeah,
stronger.
airspace or whatever. There's certain
Yeah, certain-
flight paths or
Yeah.
Well,
in the water they're
I mean,
shipping. in.
yeah, I mean that doesn't really matter because it's been established, like the way that they save the Cortez is by using the fighters as beacons. So
Right.
that it's been established in the show there that
Right.
that's the way it works. So it makes sense that Keffer could do that, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I still rarely haven't anyone say, do you think that the shadow saved him on purpose? Is it just a happy accident for Keffer? Or is it...
I
Complete
don't.
accident. I think it was an
Yeah.
accident.
Yeah.
I think
I
it
don't
was,
think he was intended. I figured they probably just ignored him because what's this one little Star Fury going to do against them? They're not. He's nothing to them.
He's
No
probably
threat.
they probably thought like, oh, he's dead in the water. He's
Yep. He's sitting there
Out of
spinning
control.
out of
Yeah.
control. Yeah. Why waste the
Cam?
effort?
No, I don't have any sense that it was intentional.
No.
But
Why
did
not
give us
alone,
some
Snob?
insight.
Why not just no? I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just wondering why not just blast him then? Like, oh, this guy. What if he escapes?
Why
He
would
can
you-
report back that he saw one of our shadow ships. Maybe they'll find out, like, are the shadow guys hanging out in hyperspace? They're hiding there? Like, what are they up to? Like,
okay.
That's what I'm getting the impression. Like, maybe that's where they're hiding.
The shadow ship blasted, or inadvertently, we think, took out one of their ships. Didn't stop. Didn't care.
Yeah.
They would have been aware. They were close enough to be aware of the Cortez. Probably they didn't do anything there, so they didn't seem to. They seem indifferent, if anything.
Yeah,
to what was going on here.
Maybe they can't do anything. Maybe their weapons don't work in hyperspace. I don't know.
Could be that they're. Yeah, I mean, we know that the little blasters on the Star Furies, whatever they are.
That's true.
I don't know if they're laser cannons or whatever they are. Obviously, that works because he was firing. Pew, pew.
Yeah, I assume they're a similar kind of plasma weapon to the hand weapons.
But I'm not the big question is in space or in hyperspace, if you fire a weapon like that, doesn't it just keep on going on forever until it hits something?
Well, it's not an energy weapon. If it is, I mean, a laser would keep on going, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a laser. It's again, I think it's a plasma weapon, meaning like superheated. It's going
to dissipate at some point over time.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know I saw, without trying to throw real world into it, but I did see something about an object in motion, staying in motion. Well, not exactly, because eventually it's going to come to some sort of stop at some point. I don't know. Because of the way gravity works in space.
Sure.
But at any rate, that was my big thing. Yeah, clearly we learned about, is this the first time we've really seen inside of hyperspace like this? I think it is. We've seen people jump in there, but I don't think we've seen hyperspace.
We haven't seen it extensively. I think we've seen shots of ships in it before.
Maybe like, okay. But I mean, I don't remember ever seeing the red kind of swirling, flowing, look up stuff. So.
I don't remember either.
And that is true. Madman points out that the Minbari ship, the Trafalgar that we saw, a couple episodes ago, that one hid out in hyperspace for years. Although I'm sure that they jumped in and out of it.
They did, because it was mentioned that they were sighted
here and there, and
yeah, so they probably didn't spend all that time in hyperspace.
You'd think they'd want to get supplies, or
Yeah. Let's see, what else was there?
The thing, it says they're pulse weapons, so I'm not sure what that means.
Another thing about the Cortez carries on the tradition that we were seeing with Earth ship names being
explorers
or mythological figures. Yeah. So
let's see, they talk about what they had seen, the blank and the blotted out. When Reefer gets back, they kind of retouch on the subject that I didn't write it down beginning, but I remember them discussing it when Sheridan and Maynard were talking about what it was like. And he kind of went into, you got the sense that something dark and dangerous, like something just walked on your grave, is what he said.
This goes to the
foreshadowing, maybe, I don't know, a little bit.
Well, the fact that in so many cultures, we're seeing this. We see it with the Narn specifically. The shadows are almost the demons of their mythology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we see that primal. Maynard describes it as like that deep fear, like it freaked him out almost.
Yeah. So this is a hardened, space.
It's your fear of the dark. Your literal fear of the dark.
Yeah.
Well, it's more than just being dark outside. There's something in the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which like I said, they're clearly kind of building up for this episode, I think. I mean, that's
well. Do we want to talk about Delen's little?
Yeah, I gotta say that's pretty much we've covered.
Are we? Yeah, are we? I think we're good with the main storyline. Of course,
story,
is the Cortez and and Sheridan's his
Other than the Bhagavad
position. I think we've covered all that. So yeah, let's go to talk to Lynn.
Okay, well, just briefly, so Delen's meeting with a civilian, another Minbari on the station, and basically they're just like, "Are you one of us?" It's like, "Are you still a Minbari?" And she kind of tries to pull rank on him. Basically, I think she says something like, "Well, that's an order or something," or it's.
She says that understanding is not required; following is. And
right.
He responds with a great line. He's like, "Yes, to our own people." But the question is, are you still one of us?
Yeah, and he's not being he's trying not to be disrespectful, but he clearly has in his mind what's a legitimate question.
Well, it's not just him, but there's other people.
Yeah, he's representing
maybe underneath him that are also.
He says he's been sent. He's been chosen to be the representative, and he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to ask these questions. His name was Tehran, and he was a member of the city religious caste, the same class as Delenn. So this is like, and she's one of the heads. She's one of the leaders of the Minbari.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they wanted her to be head of the Great Council, right?
Yeah, she's on the Great Council, and this is like a Catholic questioning the Pope.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's Sharon, right? That's the name I think I wrote down here.
Tehran, Terron. I made sure because the actor, I kept thinking this actor, his voice sounds familiar, and there used to be a kids show that this actor played on that I watched when I was really little, and it just stuck with me.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting with his questioning her like that.
Yeah, and very out of sorts, but again, considering the dramatic change, and even Maynard said she doesn't look like any Minbari I've ever.
Yeah, it freaked him out.
Yeah.
It really did freak him out. He's like, he looks like one.
She kind of looks like one, but not.
Yeah.
So clearly, it's out that, and this news is going to spread.
And Sheridan replies, "Well, you know how it is. Minbari only tell you half the truths." And I think this is this reaction from this Minbari, and the fact that Sheridan says what he says shows you how stagnant the Minbari culture is. That when the slightest change happens, they almost freak out.
Well, it's not a slight change. It's a pretty
but it's just one out of billions, probably billions of Minbaris. Yeah. But of course,
and they also, I mean, it's kind of surprising because they knew that she was going to do something, and
not everybody knew.
Well, the Great Council knew, and this guy representing the Great Council, or at least some.
He's not.
No.
Well, he's representing
the Minbari,
some sort of.
The religious caste.
Yeah.
He's representing the Minbari on Babylon 5.
Yeah, and he is another religious cast member. So, like I said, this is him questioning their almost religious leader in Delenn, who is, like I said, a member of the Great Council. She's the head of the religious caste almost.
I'm not sure if those people are aware that she's on the Great Council, though.
Does he know? Did he know?
I don't know.
It doesn't say. We don't. He's there for just a few minutes, and then poof, he's gone.
Yeah, because I mean, remember, because Lanier is not supposed to talk about it, even. That she's Satai. Dylan.
Hell, he's not even supposed to look at her.
Yeah. So it's
that's
whatever.
For him to do his job, as she pointed out.
Well, they know.
Sorry, go ahead, Cam.
I was just gonna say they know that she's the leader of the Minbari on the station, at least, though.
Right.
Because remember the other Minbari in episode 1 of this season, episode 2, he was not happy about her changing.
Right.
He said, this is her pushing prophecy, and when we've told her let prophecy happen.
Well, I don't think she. I mean, I think that's their opinion that she pushed prophecy, but I don't think
it is their opinion. And when you're the leaders, your opinion is kind of the only opinion that really matters in a society like the Minbari. Because remember, they don't question. If you tell me what I need, this is a society that has taken the concept of need to know basis to the extreme. and we see that in very many interactions when.
Yeah, they're not just secretive to others; they're secretive
within
to
themselves.
Yes.
I mean, the Warrior cast still doesn't know why the war ended.
Yeah,
exactly.
And they're pissed off about it.
It's been 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so that
Go
really
ahead, Cam.
doesn't. I mean, it doesn't really resolve. They kind of start this
No.
issue, but she doesn't have a lot. There's no resolution to it. But I did want to mention that she does have another little scene with where she runs across Sheridan and Maynard.
Yeah,
and they have a brief conversation. Yeah. Which was fine, and again, it's still kind of this like, what is that, kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then towards the end, that's kind of as they're wrapping up everything, the events that have happened.
I actually wrote some notes about that conversation with Sheridan.
Yeah, go ahead and take it.
The Zen Garden, it's such that settings takes it's such an important space in Babylon 5, because I remember right, Sinclair said with space being such a premium, he fought for that space. They needed that space, but when he's mourning the death of the pilots, this is before Kefir returns, so he's thinking, I just lost two
men,
two men under my command, and he is just out of it. He is fed up. She explains that they're all made of the same atoms. That concept that we're made of the same stuff the stars are made of. That was actually taken and paraphrased from Cosmos.
Stardust. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really, I think that and the moment Kefir returns really helps crystallize Sheridan's view.
Yeah, and you could see Sheridan. I mean, he was elated, that he got his guy back, right?
Right.
So that light came on just real fast.
But she also helped. She also helped him reach that point where he was like, "No, everybody's in the right place at the right time."
Yes,
whether you think so or not.
Yeah,
it helped him hearing it, but it helped her saying it.
I think she realized it for her own self as well.
Yes.
Yeah, they were both. There was a little parallel between the two of them there,
right?
Because she doesn't really even know what's going on with her. I mean, she did this transfer. She didn't know what was going to happen. So they're both in this kind of untested waters.
Yeah, they're both questioning their positions and their choices they've made.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that until you just brought it up here. That those two storylines do come together here,
right?
Nicely.
I was kind of surprised. I expected Delin, when she was being questioned by the other Minbari religious caste guy, said, "Are you still Minbari?" I expected her to say something about like, and this is like I said, I haven't seen the whole show. I'm just sort of spitballing where it's going. I expected her to say something like, "I am more Minbari than anyone."
She did. She just said, "I am more Minbari than I've ever been in my entire existence." But
not of everyone, right?
That's
just
true.
So I mean, I'm just sort of looking for it again. Like I haven't seen any further than Well, I've seen up to I think episode 8 of this,
and she does not have a huge role in this episode.
Yeah, I just thought
kind
she
of in
was
the beginning and at the end, and
See,
I think they're trying to hint at her becoming half human. They're trying to end the souls of Minbari coming into humans. They're trying to hint at a this species coming together. So her being half and half would be sort of like, I am more Minbari. This is where the Minbari are going to be sometime in the future. I'm more Minbari than anybody.
She says quite a few times, and she said it quite a few times before, I made this transformation so both of our people can be closer together.
Yeah. What we don't know is if any Minbari could do this, this cocoon thing, or if it's, you got
to have the triluminary, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we haven't gotten enough information. I think it's still a mystery, and maybe that's maybe it remains a mystery. Maybe it's it all gets answered by season 5. I don't know. I will say this is the first episode that I have only seen once, and I saw it when I watched it, and took my notes. So, because I know I kind of run ahead. this one was totally brand new to me, so it was interesting in that perspective. Trying to think about, okay, and I was kind of engrossed in the story, and this episode went really quick. I mean, I think I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it seemed to pass really quick.
Well,
you say like it's just started. One thing this storyline, one thing that Babylon 5 does really good is kind of teasing you a little bit, and then in other later episodes, that story, you see the storyline that started back then kind of come into fruition and
getting answered, or
so it gives you something to look forward to. It gives you a reason to come back.
Right.
And one thing I liked about this scene where Delenn's being questioned, you see her borderline angry.
Right, which is that a human emotion?
I think this is her human side kind of peeking out.
I was thinking that when you mentioned it earlier. I'm like, I wonder if she's showing a little bit of her humanity, and
because she's got that pursed lip, those
her disgust,
intense eye, that she's
anger.
He'll say something and she looks off and then snaps back.
Yep.
The actress who played Delenn, I miss her. She was such a good actor. And then I think in that one scene you could see because the acting is in the eyes, and you could see the intensity. She's probably not used to being questioned like this either.
Right, her loyalty and her
loyalty,
her Mimbarianess. I guess
Furlong was her name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Kay Roberts just reminded me. She was a great actress. She came over from Czechoslovakia. She was raised under communist Czechoslovakia, and came over, left her family, came over, and she always said the Babylon 5 family became her family. She passed away, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah,
2021.
She was beautiful too. That's the thing. One thing I liked about this show, they had beautiful actresses in this show.
She passed away of West Nile virus.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, at 65. And she's still. Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, West Nile virus. I wonder where she. Yeah, complications.
So, anything else on the Delenn story?
I did find it funny when Franklin is examining her, and she's like, "I don't understand why we need to do this." He's like, "You've been through an intense change."
Right.
From a scientific point of view, I want to know. I need to know. But from a health point of view, you need to know.
Right.
And that kind of leads into the other plot where.
Where he's making everybody get go on,
and it's for good reasons too.
She's exhibiting the human hatred of doctors and not wanting to.
Yeah,
right.
Or maybe she's like a couple of y'all just hate Franklin.
There was one other minor little plot.
Everyone hated Franklin in this episode. the food
plan. All the characters did. Although Garibaldi they got over it at the end.
Yeah.
Well,
let's go on to the Franklin.
Because Franklin.
Pretty short, but
so Garibaldi is basically his father. Every year for his birthday would make him this. What is it called?
Bagna
cotta.
Like an Italian fondue is how I've looked at.
Yeah,
I looked it up.
Yeah, and apparently it requires olive oil, which I don't know. Was olive oil considered bad back in the mid-90s?
Yeah. It's like, oh, horrible, natural fats.
Because now it's good.
Right. Remember, it was also the anchovies where Franklin was like, "Oh no,
the salt."
No.
Yeah, because it's got it's got. Now I wouldn't eat it because I don't eat anchovies, but
anchovies are disgusting.
Yeah, but apparently it's something his dad would make for him every year on his birthday, so it's kind of one thing. Well, Garibaldi's trying to get this stuff procured. if you will.
And again,
And,
we're seeing that idea of you can't get anything. We saw this with Sheridan.
the
when he
meat
first
with
came
steak.
on.
Yeah.
About how difficult it is to ship stuff out that far, and how Sheridan also had that problem with fresh fruit, which goes into his issues this episode.
Yeah, so it's not quite a black market, but a scrounger market, let's say.
Yeah.
The thing
Well,
that the reason they had to be so sneaky was because Franklin.
Franklin's stalking them.
Yeah, Franklin's the chief medical officer. If he says you're unfit, you're screwed. And he kind of played that card a little bit. He's like, for your health wise, my word is law. And I find this line of plot is one of the funniest to me in the whole show, in the whole series. I laugh at this is the reason I love this episode, because this plot just makes me laugh every time I watch it.
They had that little bit with switching the meals and everything.
Oh God, that is so fun, because it's everything. They're eating everything the other likes.
Right. Yeah. Because Susan's got pasta. It looked like fettuccine alfredo to me.
Right. Some kind of
with garlic bread and this and that and the other. And she's like,
that huge,
huge plate.
Cherry milkshake, strawberry milkshake.
Yeah. And and of course Sheridan's got salad.
Yeah.
Well, at least Franklin was not one note. Cut out salt, cut out fat. It was custom to each person.
Yeah.
And it was really medically sound reasons. You have two injured people who whose recovery is being hindered by their
health.
bad eating habits.
Yeah, Donovan needed more calcium.
And then you've got a stressed out captain.
Yeah, who's probably he was probably stress eating, and he was super excited to see actually real, honest to God fruit on the flight into B5. He probably, when he saw the hydroponics bay, went crazy.
Yeah, they did cover. He actually mentioned that. In the
so it's a little throwback to the, but I love the line where Susan's like, she gets so indignant, she gets so mad. She's like, okay, wait. I have spent my entire life fighting imperialism, and now I'm going to be the expanding Russian front. And Franklin's just like, well, with really nice borders. Like,
yeah. I was gonna say,
you couldn't say that
down.
Problematic.
Can you imagine them saying that today? Oh my God, people would throw a fit about that. Yeah. Very nice borders. The doc is always mad. You just wait. You wait.
Yeah,
this doc guy, man, he's always macking on everything. Oh my God. And he's not like Mr. Rico Suave. I don't get it, but he thinks he is, I guess. I don't know. The acquisitions guy, I wonder if we'll see him again. He reminded me, and I had to look this up, of a character that you would see occasionally in MASH. It was Sergeant Zelmo Zale.
Zale. He was the
he was the guy who could get you anything, but he was a wheeler and dealer. Don't ask how we got it, and I may have to get something from you at some point in time. That's where they got the bathtub from, I think, in MASH, if I remember correctly.
I really looked into him because I've seen him in other shows and movies after Babylon 5. His name was Miguel A. Nunez Jr. He played DJ in Street Fighter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He also played the Voodoo Doctor in Scooby-Doo, the Scooby-Doo movie.
Does he? I wonder if he returns, if he ever comes back, or if he was a one-shot.
But he also played in one of my favorite sports movies, Joanna Man. Where the kind of down on his luck NBA player dresses as a woman to play in the WNBA. His name was Orwell in this. And
what's the WNBA? Oh, sorry. Too soon?
Orwell, his name might be a homage to George Orwell, since that
maybe
that plays a lot of inspiration into Babylon 5.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to olive oil, and the other thing that's really big, what's really big now is avocado oil. I hate avocado. Oh, I can't stand avocado. But apparently avocado oil is the rage now in the health nut community. So, but more power to them. You want to eat it, go for it. I used to have an avocado tree. I would give them away.
Hey,
free.
Aldo's. I'm sorry.
You can pick as many as you want. Pissed off my neighbor down the street was trying to sell them for like $1 a piece.
Speak
I'm
his
like,
name and speak
Yeah.
his name and he shall appear.
yeah. But anyway, oh hey, look at that.
But I loved, like you said he reminds you of Zale from MASH. I love like him and Franklin are talking about it, and he's explaining the difficulties, and he's like, and Garibaldi ends it with, "Don't tell Dr. Franklin." And he's like, "Oh, that's going to cost you extra."
Right.
Garibaldi responds like, "It's going to cost me extra for you not to tell somebody." He's like, "Yeah. How much is it going to cost for you not to tell anyone?" He's like, "You can't afford that." I love that line. And he runs off scared when Franklin catches them.
Yeah.
He turns tail and runs.
But so Garibaldi explains the whole thing, right? You know, and you know, kind of a sad little story, or you know, heartfelt, I guess, if you want to be generous about it. And then so Franklin relents at the expense of getting to, you know, participate in the meal.
Make enough for two. Yeah. Which really it should have been make enough for 4 or 5, you know.
So he's basically
the crew,
yeah. The rest of the top, you know.
Is this a scam that Franklin's got going? It's like, oh, you can't eat any of this stuff, and then he finds out, and it's like, oh well, as long as I'm invited.
Well, no, I think he realized how important it was to Garibaldi, because Garibaldi's an Italian New Yorker. He's from New York, and I have a lot of friends who are Italian, and their parents and grandparents, they were that generation that was kind of standoffish. That cooking was their love language. Cooking, and that's why Garibaldi's so hell bent on getting the ingredients. You know, it's to celebrate his dad.
He even goes so far as to say that's how his dad never told him he loved him or anything like that.
He showed me.
He made this for me on my birthday every year.
Yeah, and
he showed it through his cooking and through the things that he did for me. So
yeah,
I get it.
Because looking at Garibaldi, his life his childhood probably was not easy.
He was blue collar all the way.
I mean, he's not an officer. He's an NCO.
He's not a commissioned officer. He's an
NCO, right?
Yeah, NCO.
He's a warrant officer.
And because I think isn't he like the highest rank you can go before you become an officer?
I would say he probably is. Yeah.
Or am I thinking of O'Brien?
Yeah, that's basically what a warrant officer is, kind of in between the traditional NCO and officers.
Yeah, in the American system, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so
and his dad, his name Alfredo Garibaldi.
Yeah, that's funny too. Alfredo.
I think that this situation is kind of interesting. In that Garibaldi is and Franklin are sort of getting together, you know.
Yeah.
They're maybe Franklin is becoming. I don't know. Garibaldi's trying to reach out to him. They're for some reason.
Well, we've already noticed that acting wise, that Franklin has gotten better this season significantly over the last, and we've postulated that maybe it's a result of directing, or just maybe the whole cast being in better spirits with Bruce Boxleitner on their maybe uplifting spirits, because remember that was also in that little mini about season 2 thing that they talked about, is that he kind of recharged the crew and the cast for the show, because he was excited and he wanted to be in this. I guess he had not been in a sci-fi show, but he really wanted to do this and was excited about it. And considering that the troubles that we had with the previous actor, that his predecessor actor in real life, probably caused issues and stress on the crew. And so now you've got somebody new. He literally was the replacement, both in universe and out. And his excitement was contagious. So I think maybe that helped. Maybe that's part of the reason why we're seeing an improvement in so many different things. you know, that and the show was starting to get popular, I presume. So
yeah, it was huge over in Europe, in England specifically. It was huge.
Yeah. So,
but you got to realize too that the problems they faced with Sinclair, the Sinclair actor, it was no one's fault. It was a tragedy.
No, it wasn't even. It wasn't his or anything.
No, and Straczynski revealed all this just like 5 or 6 years ago, before a convention, because when what was the actor's name? Sinclair's actor. I can never remember. He came in. He did not want his illness to be the reason the show got canceled.
Right.
So he.
That's probably he bowed out, right?
Yeah, he did. He did, and he did so because Straczynski said, "I'll help you in any way you can." So the studio paid for his doctors, his medicines, his food, his rent, and but he just couldn't do it anymore. And
Right.
Straczynski said, "I will keep this." He didn't want to. Straczynski also didn't want to ruin his career by revealing all this. So he said, "I will keep it until my grave." And
well, and then
Sinclair,
of course he passed away first. So
well, Sinclair actor says, "Don't keep it till your grave. Keep it till my grave."
yeah,
People need to know the importance of mental health and the importance of asking for help.
Yeah, Michael O'Hare is this.
Michael O'Hare,
right.
and when Michael O'Hare passed that year at Phoenix Comic-Con, Straczynski revealed all this. There's a great interview. I'll link it to y'all. I might have done it already in Discord. I'm not sure.
I was gonna say, yeah. If you haven't, drop it in the Discord.
It is.
I just dropped the link to the Discord
because Michael O'Hare, he got better. He was acting a little more. He got married, but then he fell off the wagon, disappeared, and was found passed away.
Mm.
And he was. I loved Sinclair. Sinclair was a great character.
Yeah, I liked his first name. I wonder why.
All right, you want to Snob? You want us to move final thoughts here?
Yeah, is there anything else? Nothing else from this? Let's go to.
I think we've touched everything we can on this one.
I think we have. Let's try to wrap it up at an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably stopped taking his meds sometimes.
Yeah, that
happens.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Okay. Final thoughts. Outpost as our guest panelist. Let you go first.
Like I said, I really loved this episode. I love the character dynamics that we see throughout it. There were some, like I said, some up and downs. So out of 10, I maybe give it a 7.5 out of 10. And we're starting to see storylines kind of coming together. We're seeing the beginnings of this tapestry almost. So I loved it. I think we're going to see some characters improve, some really big relevant revelations. Words hard. It's
Words
midnight.
hard.
It's midnight. But
no, it's not. What are you talking about? It's
but I also, one thing you needed to do when you were watching Babylon 5 is kind of watch the subtext a little bit. Because when you watch the subtext, you learn more about society in that era. You learn of, like, medicine is not, it's still like treatments. Like, hey, you have to do this. You need to take your medicine. It's not, I'm going to wave a magic wand over you or this magical future scanner. You have to take care of yourself.
That's an excellent point. And we should keep that in mind.
Food is still bad for you. Be careful. Or the joke, like, I'm your best friend and I'll still poke at you and make you mad as hell.
Yeah.
So like that's why I love this episode so much. So 7, 8 out of 10.
Jeff.
I think I'm gonna go right about the same. I'm thinking somewhere between 7 and 8. Maynard was there's a little quirky place, especially when he's on the Cortez. Did love the fact that we got to see a new ship, and a really, really big ship, one that's, like we said, 6 kilometers long, just a little bit shy of Babylon 5 itself. It looked huge right next to it. Other than that, I mean, Delenn had a couple of, I think those are the breadcrumbs, like we talked about, that are going to lead to the future, and along with the shadow ships, we definitely know that there's something out there towards the outer rim, hanging out in hyperspace, and maybe in the outer rim. So, and we keep on, it's getting pretty heavily hinted at this point where they're at. So we know something's up. We know something's coming. It's not hiding it, but yeah, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. That's my ranking.
Cam.
I think this was kind of a functional episode. They were sprinkling in some important details, but I think it didn't have any particularly strong storylines of its own. I think the execution on some of the stuff is, particularly, with the Cortez and the acting on that was a little shaky. It didn't, I didn't like how it developed that. I think they could have done more with it. Like I said, the reason that it failed might have been sabotage or something like that. That kind of related to some other things we've seen. So I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity. I didn't think it was a bad episode by any means. And these little bits like, the shadow ships and things, I like that. So I'm going to come down at a 7. But it's not an episode that I would point to as, critical per se. I mean, every episode has something that's important, but this wasn't like a wham bang, episode for me. So good, but not a favorite.
All right. I'm going to say that I thought the episode was a little weak. I think of the 4 episodes we've seen this season, it's the worst one of the set so far. I mean, I agree with some of the things that Cam said. The poor acting on the with Maynard not on Babylon 5. I thought he did fine there, but when he's on his own ship, there was just some pretty cringeworthy stuff.
Yeah.
I like the part, we're seeing the shadow ships in hyperspace hinting at that. Delenn hinting at there's something else going on there, that there's going to be a problem with Minbari. All that's good, but I thought the rest of it was kind of weak. I think Sheridan was, he became too, based on what we've seen of his personality, became too upset too quickly, just from his buddy sort of jabbing him a little bit, and he's like, now I'm mad. I should be on a proper. No, you've got a plum job, buddy. Maybe you feel a little bit, but you're taking a bite out of Garibaldi and Ivanova now all of a sudden, when you're like the most pretty mild-mannered guy so far. I thought that was a little overdone. And I know Outpost Nerd liked the doctor humor stuff. It didn't really hit with me. I mean, it was kind of like, okay, they're trying something, but it didn't really land with me. So I thought it was kind of a weak episode.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it.
I'll note that this is the first episode of the season not written by Straczynski.
Yes, that's a good.
Oh, really? Yeah, written by Fontana. Now
those tend to be the weaker ones. Is that what we're thinking?
Yes,
maybe. Straczynski, he's at this point he'd been writing for almost 15 years. He wrote a lot of the real Ghostbuster episodes as well.
Mm-hmm. Great show.
He did his own, like Captain Powers, I think it was, he wrote on, but this is the first time as a showrunner.
Right.
Yeah. Now, and just to finish off, I'll say that it's the weakest episode of the season so far. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's still like, this is like Cam. I'm starting to judge things at a higher level now. I mean, it's still a better episode than some of the stuff we saw in season 1. But if I'm rating it at, now this new level I expect from season 2, I'm giving it a little bit lower. But still,
I could see that. I mean, I debated.
It might be in the top 5 if it was in the first season, if comparatively. Yeah. But it's 4th place so far from this.
Would y'all call this an almost filler episode? Like it could be taken out almost, and still the season or what we've seen so far worked.
I would agree with that. But
Yeah.
there's a couple of little breadcrumbs in which are nice, and
Right.
they are building out the crew. There are, we're seeing a lot. There was a lot of interaction between, even though I didn't think it was funny so much. There is at least some interaction between the senior staff and Franklin. Franklin's getting into it more. I appreciate that, and that we're seeing more of their personalities come out. So I appreciate that, but not.
Was there
I
any
just
one
didn't think
dominant?
the funny was.
I don't think there was any one dominant actor or character throughout
No,
this.
I
I mean,
don't think so.
it wasn't like it was, Sheridan's story, or it was,
And I think
Garibaldi's story. It was kind of everybody's kind of.
That's why I say probably a filler episode. Like, you could probably pepper these little bits of story into other episodes, and it would work just fine.
Right. I mean, yeah, you got to see an Explorer class ship, so that's kind of an introduction. I'm curious. I'm gonna say Jason would give it a 6. What does everybody else think?
I don't know. He's hard to predict. He's hard to predict sometimes.
He is. I'm curious. Well, hopefully he'll watch this in retrospect and let us know next week.
You can ask him next week.
No, we'll harass him on his show tomorrow.
Yes,
You can do that too.
absolutely.
Hey, speaking of that, check out Sci-Fi for Me daily at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Oh yeah, I should probably drop a link for that. Oh.
All right, let's go to trivia questions, and then we'll finish up the show. All right. Let's see here. Trivia questions for this episode. I think there was some of them that you guys were giving away. But yeah. So what are the respective nicknames for Sheridan and Maynard? How many pounds does Dr.
I don't know.
Franklin say Sheridan has to lose?
Mm.
What is the name of the guy Garibaldi hires to smuggle food? Who rescues Keffer while stranded in hyperspace? And how does Dr. Franklin refer to the diets he puts the staff on? I think we answered all those questions.
I think we did. I think we got them all.
Pretty
That's
easy
all
to
right.
get for everybody. That's
Gives
fine.
Gives the people a reason to come back and review the episode before next week's
Fine.
show.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Outpost Nerd, what do you got coming up on your channel?
I'm trying to get back into streaming. I'm gonna try be doing I do Lego streams sometimes. I got a Lego U-Wing that I'm gonna be trying to build. Going to. I usually
Bobby
give a
Ewing?
Yeah.
Oh, E-Wing.
U-Wing.
U-Wing. Oh, okay.
From Rogue One. It's the best ship in Disney Star Wars.
Awesome.
That was a joke there. I was,
I'm
Dallas
sorry.
Ewing.
Oh,
There's no jokes about Star Wars and Lego. Come on.
I do reviews on movies, and then I just a smackle of other topics that I do just.
Whatever.
I'm trying to get back into it. Yeah, whatever like pops into my little nerd head.
I dropped your link there. Yeah.
There's a link if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Jeff.
Let's see. There is one thing that I wanted to point out. As everybody knows, there's been a major disaster and natural disaster in Texas, and I found out Reaper Minis. Of course, I'm a tabletop gamer, but Reaper Minis has actually got a disaster relief mini that they're offering. So I just want to drop a link to that channel. In whatever you can do, whatever way. But the big thing that they really need. I hate to say this, but people really need money. They don't need clothes and stuff like that, because that stuff is very difficult to transport. Money is always the one that works, unfortunately. So, but yeah, pray for Texas, whatever you believe in.
All right. Thanks, Cam.
Well, apparently I need to talk to Outpost Nerd about Lego stuff coming up. But
are you a Lego guy too?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah.
On my desk right here, I have a Lego Aston Martin DB5 and a Lego Jedi Starfighter. Because
cool,
I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
Hey, aren't we all?
Exactly.
Except for Snob. He's a snob.
I'll tie this into a preview for Top Lofty Lounge. We're doing the shelf or the wall of shame or the shelf of shame, whatever you want to call it, regarding games and Are we just doing games, Snob?
We were going to just do board games to start out with, but
miniatures.
So far, nobody's none of the viewers have sent me anything. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping you guys send me some stuff.
I got lots of stuff. I got boxes.
Well, I've been desperately trying to reorganize my basement, and it's I have an embarrassing amount of junk, including a lot of Lego. So I'm trying to move some out.
Yeah.
Anyway, but other than that, Top Lofty Lounge Sunday night at 11 p.m. Eastern.
Wall of Shame. Huh?
This is Cam might not know about this, but Q2 wants to re-air a segment from the dugout we were talking about Texas laws a couple weeks ago. I said, sure, that's fine, no problem. I mean, it's already out there.
There you go.
Yeah. Top Lofty Lounge. Oh, we'll talk about that after, Cam. I was thinking maybe we should push that topic back a week to give people more time, but we'll talk about it after. We'll see. I'll let I'll put it up. You'll see it in the thing. And then of course, Top Lofty Lounge coming up this week as usual, and then next week, of course, Babylon 5. What episode are we doing next week?
The Long Dark.
The Long Dark.
I kind of jumped ahead and saw it.
The Long Dark.
Oh, that's
good. The Long Dark. Yeah. And Cam and I have been, cooking up some new stuff that we're not ready to say anything yet about, but you might see something, a little bit new on the channel, something a little different. Let's see how it goes. On the Discord, check out the Discord. I've been, thanks to Michael, we went up a level on our Discord, so that means we can put some custom emojis and stickers and stuff. I don't know what that stuff does, but we're doing it. I've been press ganging. You might see some new emojis and stuff. If you want to use them, please go ahead. I've been press ganging my daughter to make some of them, so she's made some of them. Some of them are just we pulled off. She's made some of them. She drew. So if you think they're crappy, just don't let me know.
Blame her or don't tell you.
Don't tell me. Just
okay. You will break Daddy's heart.
She's my daughter. I mean, so if you don't like them, that's fine. But just be careful. Don't say it's to someone else. So that's about it. I think. Anything? Do we miss? Oh, I should do. Oh, I can't do any of these. Oh no, I think I can do it from. I'm gonna have to change stuff if they're gonna be jerks to us. I'm gonna have to figure out something else. But let's put this up so we can.
I think you can throw up individual shots, but you can't do any video.
We'll
right?
Do that. This is our socials. I can't do any video now. I don't know why. I'm gonna check in and find out. Might have to abandon StreamYards and go somewhere else, but that's no big deal.
Well, we'll talk about it after the show.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So those are our socials. You want to check those out? Yeah, please come on the Discord. There's been some pretty intense discussions going on lately, especially this week about Superman. So
oh God, I opened a can of worms this morning. About Superman.
That was you.
Hey, there's a good topic for Sunday.
We don't mind cans of worms.
You've already determined that Superman is sci-fi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
According to Cam, yeah.
I'm going to try and see it. I think this weekend,
mm-hmm.
And then I'll let you know what I think.
All right. So that's it for the show. Thanks everybody for coming out. We'll see you on Sunday or next Wednesday. And again, because of this, we're probably not going to have an outro, so we're just going to say
we're going to cut fade to black. See ya.
Good night, everybody.
Try. No, I can't do it. I tried it. No, it doesn't work. All right, that'll be it.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody. See you next show.
Good night.
Good night.